Hey everyone, and welcome back to Europify. I want to start today's video with a big shout out to all my subscribers in supporting me in reaching 500 subscribers. I know it's not a big milestone, but we should enjoy the little things in between, right? So thank you so much for supporting me so far, and I hope you'll keep doing that and will help me reach 1000 and further. So in today's video, we are going to continue our Poland series. And for those who are new to my space, my name is Amrita. I live in Germany and I make videos about life in Germany and Europe in general. And in today's video, we are going to discuss about the cost of living in Poland. That is, how much money do you need to lead a comfortable life in Poland? But before moving ahead, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please consider doing that. And if you haven't watched my previous video on Poland, please do watch that first if you're considering moving to Poland. And do like this video right now. No, I'm kidding. Watch this video till the end, and if you find this information useful, then do like it. Alright, so as in any other country, in Poland as well, the cost of living differs a lot depending on where you are. That means which city you live in, which area do you live in, if you're a single or a couple or a family with kids. So let us discuss, the breakdown of all the costs depending on these different scenarios. If you have watched my previous video, you might already know that I was living in a city called Poznan in Poland. So that was not like the biggest city, but it was of considerable size and it was a modern city. So I'm going to give you the cost of living as per my experience, but also I'll list, depending on the bigger the city like Warsaw or Krakow, I'll also give you an idea about how that cost might differ. So the major portion of your cost of living would always be the house rent. And depending on your status, that is, if you're single or a couple, depending on that, you'll have different options. So for a single, for example, you can either have a private room in a shared apartment, you can again live in a studio apartment that is sort of, in one big room, there will be a kitchen, there will be a living space, and also the bedroom and the washroom. So you can have that option as well. And also there are 2-room apartments. So that would be one kitchen plus living room and one bedroom and washroom separate. So depending on these 3 options, if you choose to go with a private room in a city of Poznan size, you would get a room ranging from 500 zloty to 800. But again, that can also differ depending on where you are in the city. So if you are closer to the city center, then of course it will cost you more. And if you are little farther from the city center, then it will be lesser. So I was living close to my work, but a little farther from the city center. So it was around 20 to 25 minutes from the city center. And I was living in a 2-room apartment. So that was of an area around 50 to 52 meters square. And that used to cost me 1400 zloty. That was the base rent. And apart from that, there are some other components of the house rent that we'll discuss further. But if you're choosing a studio apartment, then that would cost you somewhere between the range of the 2-room and the shared room. So in Poznan, it used to be starting from 900 till 1400. If you move to a bigger city like Warsaw or Krakow, then it would cost you some additional money. So for a studio apartment, it might cost you around 1200 to 1600 zloty. The cost that I just mentioned, that is the basic rent. And there are a lot of other components to the house rent. So the first one is the administrative charge, and I was paying around 400 zloty for it. So this administrative charge will cover your heating, your hot and cold water, your other maintenance like the garbage, and if you are part of a gated community, then with the security and the maintenance of the common space. So for all of that, the additional cost is taken. But apart from that, you will again have car parking. If you have a car, then that would cost you somewhere around 150 to 250 zloty if it is an covered underground parking. But there are also free parking spaces on the streets. But yeah, depending on your apartment and your locality, you can opt for a covered parking. In addition to that, you'll have your security deposit, which is normally 1 month's rent. And normally they take the base rent as the security deposit. So yeah, that is also a cost to consider if you're moving initially. And after that, there is this electricity charge, the internet charges. So I used to pay around 50 zloty for the internet charges, and it was sufficient for one person, or even for two persons it would be sufficient. And for the electricity, that is like once in 2 months. That was the structure in Poznan, at least from the provider I had taken. And I used to pay around 50 to 70 zloty, depending on, if I'm in the city in my house or not. If I'm traveling, then the cost is of course less. But it used to always, range from that 50 zloty to 70, 80 zloty maximum. So yeah, when I compare it with Germany, it's way, way cheaper. I mean, here we pay around 35 to 40 euros per month, and there it was like, when you convert it to euro, it's like 15 euros per 2 months. The next major cost comes with the transport. So if you are having a car, then the costs are completely different, but I'm going to focus on the public transport option. So like in any other European countries, in Poland as well, the public transport system is fantastic. So if you are reaching Poland and you're trying to settle in, there is no need to, rush to buy a car. The public transport is like fantastic. And there are a lot of options depending on your frequency of usage. If you want to buy a ticket for just a single trip, then you will get that somewhere between 2 to 3 zloty. And that would be, having a certain time limit to it. So for example, 20 minutes, 45 minutes tickets. So there are just a lot of options for, to select depending on your frequency. And if you are, walking to your work and you just occasionally use the public transport, then also I used to have this preloaded card. So you have to recharge it with a certain amount, and as you go, you can pay accordingly. So yeah, that was a very flexible option. But if you are going to use public transport on a daily basis, commute to work, or if you live far from the city center or so, then also you can use the public transport frequently. And in that case, it's very advisable to take this monthly or even quarterly passes. In Poznan, it used to be 100 zloty per month, but depending on where you are, for example, in Warsaw, it is around 120 to 130 zloty, and that can differ in Krakow as well. And every city has their own website and app for the public transport, so it's worth checking there and then decide for your own. Now comes one of the major part of our cost, especially for Indians. Like, we prepare our food 3 times a day, so it's really useful to know what options do you have for grocery, what is the expected cost, and is there a way to minimize it. So as a single, I used to spend around 400 to 500 zloty a month on groceries. And that would include my shopping from the local supermarkets as well as the Indian supermarkets. So I used to buy, large supplies of rice, dal, wheat flour, and, other seasonal vegetables and any other Indian specific groceries from the Indian store. And then rest of the things I used to buy from the local store. Indian stores are, obviously expensive than the local ones. So try to stick to the local stores as much as you can, especially for, spices and other things like that. Those are also now kept in the local stores because of the popularity. So try to avoid the Indian supermarkets for that. And yeah, in that way you can reduce a little on your cost. But if you are a family of just two persons, your cost might be a little more. So consider for a size of poznan, it will be around, let's say, 700 to 800. And this is also very subjective, right? Like depending on your lifestyle, if you want to eat out more, then your grocery cost will of course be less. But I used to eat out, let's say, twice a month or maximum thrice. So yeah, depending on that, this was my cost. But if you're a family of more like with child and you're two persons, so that would cost you around, let's say, 900 to even 1000 zloty. So yeah, depending on that, you can decide how you can manage your expenses. But there are a lot of options of supermarkets as well. Like the famous ones are Biedronka and Auchan, Lidl. So Biedronka is a little cheaper, and Auchan is like a wholesale supermarket where you will just have a lot of options, and also Asian, American, all these different varieties were there. So Auchan is for like a monthly club shopping, and then for like weekly or for any ad hoc requirement, you can go to the Biedronka or Lidl. And yeah, I found Biedronka very cheap than Lidl or Netto or Kaufland or Auchan. So yeah, Biedronka is also like in every alternate streets, and so is Żabka. But Żabka is also for like emergency supplies, but they will rip you off if you want to like buy on a daily basis from them. Now comes the favorite parts of most of us, especially girls, and that is shopping. So in Poland as well, you'll get both the posh and the cheaper options for clothing and other accessories. So when I come to the cheaper shops, it would include Pepco for your household supplies and other things, even clothing. So Pepco was like really cheap, but you can expect the quality is also as per that. But it was not that bad either. So I have bought a lot of stuff from Pepco, and they last a lot, but the quality won't be as good. So when it comes to clothing, Sensei was one brand which was like really cheap, and they had very good collection as well. And also H&M is quite cheap. In India it used to be one of the posh brands, but abroad it's like considered one of the cheapest brands to buy in. So Pepco, Sensei and H&M are your go-to for the cheaper buys. And when it comes to a little quality product, then I used to prefer going to Orsay or let's say Mojito, Reserved and Pro Mode. So these were like, especially for clothing, these were one of the like very good available options. So that was it for today's video, guys. I hope you find this information useful, and if so, please don't forget to hit that like button, and also do consider subscribing to my channel. Alright, I'll see you next time with a new video. I am planning to bring the work culture and what you can expect if you're considering an offer from Poland in my next video. So stay tuned and take care. Bye.